Welcome to Across the Park podcast, the only place you can hear banter and debate from both sides of Stanley Park, whether it be blue or red. Sponsored by Their Clothing, Camper Kings UK, and affiliation with BetMate.
Hello everyone, welcome to Across the Park podcast, episode 23 of the 2021-2022 season. Again, as usual, we've got two blues and two reds, myself, Gary Judge and Andrew Price representing the blues, and we've got Gary Murray and Terry McGibbon representing the red side of the park. So again, this is our first show. We'll be covering the games from the previous weekends as we're going into the lovely time of the year again, the international break. We won't have any previews for this week. And we also have a second show coming in a few days that'll normally come out around Thursday, which is our game on show. So that's something else for you to look forward to. So we'll be covering the blue half of the park, unfortunately, first Pricey. And then we'll be moving on to Liverpool's two games that they've had in the last week. So briefly covering their victory at Arsenal, which took them to another final. Again, the show just gets better and better for the Blues. and their victory at Crystal Palace at the weekend. So unfortunately, Pricey, well, there's only one place to start really, and that's the game early on Saturday. We both went. We both went into that game with a degree of optimism. I think just the fact that there was a change. Duncan Ferguson was at the helm. For anyone who wants to look back at our instant reaction to that, you can still catch that on our channel. It'll probably be the video just below this one. But now we've had a few days to digest it, along with a hangover. How are you feeling now, Pricey?
Similar to what I was feeling at the instant match, to be honest with you. I just think it was more determination from the players, more effort, but ultimately the quality is just not there. That first half, I mean, the second half we got a little bit better, created a couple of chances, but the first half I thought was really, really poor. Villa didn't play well. Villa didn't need to play well. I think all they had to do was nullify what we were trying to do. Obviously, we were going to be fired up for it, and long balls and maybe get out wide and stuff, which was probably what we were trying to do in the first half. We done it more in the second, but I don't think Villa played well at all. I think both teams were pretty poor. It was a poor game. But yeah, I was just disappointed. As you said, I went in with a bit more optimism, just purely because of last time Ferguson was in charge and we got a bit of a bounce and the crowd were on side and everything like that. I was expecting something similar. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the players. The crowd can only do so much, and it's down to the players and the quality they've got. So really disappointing. And yeah, I worry for us. I just worry for us at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we said at our time, didn't we, that I think I can't remember who it was, commented saying, the crowd were a bit flat. And I was like, well, the players didn't really give us anything, did they? I mean, I said to you, and I haven't actually checked this stat out, but we didn't have a shot on goal in the first half, never mind on target. I mean, there may have been one that was kind of gifted to or given to us as a shot on goal, but apart from that, like you say, that hard work and application, there didn't seem to be a plan, did there? That's been the biggest criticism, or it was the biggest criticism amongst others of the Benitez time, is that the players didn't really seem to have an idea what they were doing going forward. Didn't seem to be a structure to what we were doing. Now, you're not going to obviously get that in a few days, but I was expecting to see some kind of, I don't know, just something different to brought to the table. There wasn't, was there?
The plan was to have more energy and hope that the crowd get on side and to try and force it with victory that way. That was the plan, because there was no... Tactically, it was a 4-4-2. It was old school and it was basic. I mean, it was proper basic. It was a little bit schoolboy at certain points. So the plan was definitely just to show more energy and get the crowd on side. But then once you get 20 minutes in and then the crowd have sort of had a go and nothing's happening and there's no chances created and we're playing pretty poor, like you said, the crowd can only do so much. Yeah. And I said on Saturday after the game, the players being up for it, that's the minimum. That should be every game, no matter what. The players being up for it, so they don't deserve any credit for being up for it, none whatsoever. They should be like that anyway. So the fact that they're up for it, and Ferguson came out after the match as well and says, the players are up for it, no one can say they weren't. That's the minimum. I'm not giving them any credit for that whatsoever. That's the minimum we expect. It just comes down to the fact that we're obviously low on confidence, which doesn't help. But you can point to certain factors like Calvert-Lewin not being match fit and stuff, but just the quality. I just think we're in a really bad place as a squad, and no matter well, hopefully, if someone comes in, before the next game, they can try and instill something in them. But I think we're really struggling, and the Newcastle game becomes massive.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. Obviously, I don't think, certainly don't think the crowd or Duncan Ferguson can be held accountable for Saturday's performance. Just to focus briefly on Ferguson, though, because obviously he was put in the hot seat. It was his responsibility the weekend. He's made a few big calls there. One was obviously putting John Joe Kenny in. Another dropping Michael Keane. There's a mix there. I'm happy with one. I'm maybe dubious about the other one. He's played two very defensive fullbacks in the shape of Ben Godfrey, ultimately, and John Joe Kenny. And he's dropped Anthony Gordon. Just your take on those decisions in that order.
The John Joe Kenny decision, people have said Coleman hasn't looked on it, but he's miles better than John Joe Kenny. Even when Coleman's not on it fully, he's a better player than John Joe Kenny. I think it proved John Joe Kenny on the ball is not good enough. He's a championship player at very best. I've said it before. I'm not a fan of his, so I think he got that one wrong. I don't see why you would drop Coleman. Michael Keane, I've been wanting to get him dropped for so long. It's unbelievable. So yeah, bring him in, and that was a justified decision because Holgate performed reasonably well. There was no real threat, and Yerry Mina just makes a big difference anyway when he's in the defence. He just lifts it. Anthony Gordon not playing, I think that's fine. I mean, he came on after I can't remember how long it was, 60 minutes or whatever. He came on. He done well. He had a really good half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever he played. But I didn't look at it and think he should be playing. I think I was fine with Townsend and Gray offering the width, especially with the style of play we were going for. The unusual thing for me was the substitution of Allen for Gomez in the second half. I think Gomez was having a good game. He's one of our better players and the best I've seen him for a long time. So I didn't really understand the need to swap him for Allen, just a like-for-like replacement.
He got booked, Gomez, didn't he?
Got booked, yeah. I mean, he got booked, but I don't see there's a reason to bring him off. It wasn't like he was throwing in challenges and.
Never been sent off for Everton either, so
no.
it's not like
I don't know. That was the only.
Yeah, he was booked in the first half, but I don't see that as a risk. And yeah, like he brought Gordon on, which was fair enough, but it was a bit like for like. I would have liked to see it wasn't working, try and change it, go 4-3-3 maybe. So the starting lineup, I think he got Kenny wrong, but apart from that, I wouldn't complain about the starting lineup. It was more about the in-game substitutions that I didn't really understand.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to a couple of the Villa staff yesterday when I got over it a little bit, just saying like, because I know a few of them, used to work with a few of them. And I just said I don't think there was much in the game, but I think it'd be fair to say Duncan Ferguson and Everton give you exactly what you were probably expecting. I don't think there was anything that they didn't prepare for that they didn't get from the first whistle. And like you say, that was the frustrating thing for me. We're not expecting a masterclass here, but it was only stuff that we were talking as fans saying it was an easy 1-2 change. We did have enough attacking options to be able to change the shape, whether it was putting Richarlison out wide just to give their fullbacks a little bit more to think about. I mean, as much as Townsend tried and he worked hard, didn't really give us much. It was clear from the get-go that Matty Cash had Damari Gray's number, so even flipping the wingers would have helped. There was nothing, was there? There was no effort to just mix things up a little bit when we were blatantly, I think the words I used on our instant match reaction to describe it, we were blunt. Blunt. We just didn't look like we had a cutting edge. And I think he could have done a lot more to help with that, not least by not making like-for-like changes. So I agree with that. One thing, there was I think there was a suggestion for me with the changes that he was just trying to make a statement in as much the biggest way that he could. I think leaving the club captain out is a statement, isn't it? I think it was a statement for me. I'm not sure whether there was something personal behind it or whether he just likes John Joe Kenny. But leaving the club captain out is a statement. Leaving the two signings out completely out of the squad for me was a statement. It's a bit harsh on them, isn't it? I mean, whether in training they don't look ready is one thing, but hanging them out to dry, I think, was a little bit out of order to a certain extent. I think there was spaces on the bench that they could have filled. And I certainly think that having a natural left-back on the bench or not having a natural left-back was a bit of a mad call.
The Mikalenko one, if Patterson hasn't played, so if he's not involving Patterson and he's gone with Kenny, then Coleman's your right back, so I suppose. Yeah, but Mikalenko, he's played, and our left back's a centre back. So what happens if he gets injured? Who are you bringing in as a left back? So that was a bit strange. Making a statement, yeah, he could have been, but what that statement is, I don't know, because what was he gaining from not putting him in the squad? I don't know. So maybe if it was, then when you're saying bringing Coleman out and dropping the captain and dropping Keane, he was always going to drop a couple because the results had just shown that there needs to be a couple of changes. And I think they were probably the ones he could replace without, I think it does make us weaker putting Kenny instead of Coleman, but overall, it's not a massive difference. I think they're the two areas that he said I could drop them. I can show that I'm doing something, show I can make the changes, and still we won't be weakened, if you like. Yeah. I think that's probably where it came from. But the Michael Keane one, yeah, I mean, he'd been needed to be dropped for a long time anyway.
Well, one of the players I've just mentioned then, who played well, to be fair, for Villa. I think the two fullbacks, I mean, we've got to touch on Luca Dean, haven't we, for a number of reasons, but starting with his performance, he's done okay. I don't think he was exceptional in the game. It was obviously a difficult game for him to come into. It was hostile for him to a certain extent, and we're not going to touch too much on the supporter who added to that hostility. But obviously, he's the biggest thing to point out is he set the goal up with his corner. I think we had 9 corners on Saturday, and we were speaking after it. I don't think any of them were any good. I think after the first corner we put him was all right, but apart from that, the delivery from set plays in general was poor, wasn't it? It's a kick in the teeth, isn't it, when you play not a talisman team, but he was in terms of assists. Comes back and the one corner they had in the whole game, he puts it on the money and they score.
The one, as you say, the one corner with any quality as well, yeah. and they score. I mean, it's proper Everton, isn't it, that he's going to come and he's going to set one up, and it was a good corner. I mean, it was terrible defending by Richarlison, if that's his job. But I thought Dean done all right. He done what you expect Luca Dean to do. He played exactly as he would play for us. Gerrard's got him playing like he used to play for us before Benitez came, pushing up when in possession, and he's not the best defender, but he does enough to sort of nullify. So yeah, I thought he done all right. I mean, it's funny because he should be in our team, shouldn't he? Really? I mean, I know what we've said about the fact that I could understand us getting rid of Luca Dean, but that was on the basis Benitez was staying. If Benitez, if you're going to get rid of your manager 7 days after selling Luca Dean, or if was it even 7 days, I don't know. Then it's mad. So watching him play was a little bit like we could have done with him. We could have done with him. But yeah, it's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what you're saying there, Judge, in terms of like your corners and your set pieces being disappointing. I think you're saying Duncan wouldn't have had a lot of time to work with the team, But one thing that maybe you could have been the difference in the game is just work on some set pieces, or do something, make sure that delivery is quality, because you've got Calvert-Lewin back on the pitch. Whether he's fit or not, he'll still be able to put his head on it, won't he? You've got Mina back on the pitch.
Yeah.
I think Mina had a good chance, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
He did. That went just over the bar. Should have scored.
Yeah, wasn't it cleared away and then put back into the box, I think. But no, you're right though, Terry. And again, we did have some chances from. I think it was a set piece. I think he'd stayed up from a set piece and it got put back into the box. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're right though. I said earlier in the season we're obviously conceding a lot of goals from set plays. We conceded another one at the weekend, and one of the easy explanations I had is we were missing the likes of Calvert-Lewin, the likes of Mina, the likes of Decore. They were all on the pitch at the weekend. And you would have expected, particularly Buendia being the smallest man on the pitch, you'd have expected us to be able to deal with that. And likewise, like you say, Terry, you would have expected us to have held more of a threat from set plays, considering the type of player that Ferguson was, the teams he played in, they prided themselves on set plays. The managers he worked under, Joe Royle, David Moyes, they always had a trick up the sleeve when it comes to set plays. So I think that was certainly disappointing as well.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to set yourself up or to come up with set plays if you haven't got players that are good enough from dead ball situations, and this team is particularly weak in those areas. Townsend's not bad, but from what I remember, Townsend wasn't putting any of the set plays. It was Gray and it was Gomez, wasn't it? I don't think.
can't remember who took the corner. I know Gray took a couple of corners. I don't know, to be honest. Gordon took one and nicked it straight out again at the end.
Third time.
Third time. I mean, that's not acceptable. But I can't remember who took them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was Gomez, it was Damari Gray, and like you say, Anthony Gordon took a couple when he come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, that's it was a disappointing performance. I think, like I said to we all said, I don't think there's a lot in the game. I don't think it's a game where, like, in isolation, if you were to look back at that in a future season, you wouldn't be going, oh, what a terrible performance that was, or how bad were we? I don't think it was any of that. It was just, it was flat, wasn't it? It was just a bit flatter than we would have anticipated. And again, just it looked like a team. So I think I said this in the instant match reaction. It looked like a team that's really struggling for confidence now. Obviously, getting into them areas where the likes of Damari Gray and Richarlison, whatever, it just didn't happen for them, did it? Nothing really bounced for them. And again, I suppose symptomatic of a team that is down there now. And like you say, a team that we're probably worried about more and more each week. Just while we're on it, and we're obviously talking about players, we have our betmate game every week. So looking back at the game, I finished second. So we almost had 2 winners in 2 weeks from the podcast. I finished second this week with 58 points. Decore, I was shocked. I had Decore as my captain, and he obviously got took off. He went off injured, which is another blow. Decore got 22 points for me. So I went for Decore and Fabinho in midfield. Obviously, Fabinho gets a goal. He was my vice captain, Fabinho. So I got 34 points between my 2 midfielders, which again is like they give tickles. Yeah, they give tickles. We felt like I got tickles when I seen I was second.
I went the opposite. I had Calvert-Lewin as my captain up front. I think he scored me 2 points. I did have Van Dijk, which was decent. He scored an header. But apart from that, I went. I don't know why. I went Everton. I picked a few Everton players and didn't pick many Villa players, so killed it for me. And the Liverpool players I had, Alexander-Arnold and Van Dijk, done all right, but yeah, I think I was 26th out of 31, something like that. So
yeah, mine were 2 goals. I had your left back in, the one who never even got on the match. Yeah.
That's a lesson for anyone who plays the game. You can change your team up until 5 minutes before the game kicks off. So Terry must have been busy then.
Yeah. I finished 6th this week, just outside the paying places.
But
I had the same midfield, Decore and Fabinho as you, Judge. But I had Fabinho as my vice captain, but I captained Trent, and I had Robertson on the bench. If I'd have swapped them 2 rounds, I'd have been right up there.
Yeah, Jolie, one of our mates, texted me and said if I would have had Robertson in instead of Trent, I would have won it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Cheers for that, Jolie. Calvert-Lewin killed me as well. I had Calvert-Lewin up front. I think he got 3 points, Calvert-Lewin, so he probably got 6 for you, Pricey. But I had Tamari.
I had Calvert-Lewin up front and Richarlison on the bench. Richarlison got 8.
Oh, so yeah, I went with Richarlison anyway. Ifs and buts, but yeah, second place, happy with that. But I'm just trying to see if there's any other. So the winner was of our game was Marauder 92, and he got 60 quid. So well done to him. I'm not sure what his name is. If you are listening or watching, then drop us a message with your name, mate, and we'll message you next time. But yeah, Gary just outside the points. Was that Armick? Is that Mick Nixon Armick?
Yeah, that only happened in the last 10 minutes of the game as well.
Is it? The Liverpool game?
Yeah. I think he was second up until the last 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, that is the good thing. That is the exciting bit about it when you're watching a game. It gives you a bit more interest going in, and it changes so much, doesn't it?
Yeah, all the time. Just the odd tackle here and there can change it.
That's it, and that's why going for those tackles in midfield's good. So again, if you're looking to play next week, our game's always on there. I think our game for this week is already on there. So if you go on, you scroll down, it'll say across the park, Merseyside double. It's only £3 to play, and again, it's as you've just gathered from our comments there, it's combining the best players or your picks from the Everton games and the Liverpool games for that weekend. So we've got no games to preview for next time, but I think our next game is up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all there. I've got my team in.
Okay, so Carrie's getting it in early. So the next round of games is in there already. So I'm just looking at it now. It's Everton's trip to Newcastle, which I'm going to, and Liverpool's home game to Leicester. So that's in a week or so's time. So check them out, guys. I think we just brought it up on the screen then. Okay, so before we do move on to the Reds, and we won't take too long on this because I know we've got a couple of games to review from the Red side as well. There's been a little bit more gathering speculation around the vacant position of the manager position at Goodison Pricey. So the latest candidate who's now top of the market, it's gathered a lot of momentum over the last couple of days, is Vitor Pereira, a manager who we did interview a couple of years back. I've got an interesting little post that I've seen before. I think I put it in our group earlier on. But just before I do bring that up, Pricey, what are your thoughts on that as a potential appointment?
I mean, I'm not going to say I know his tactics, I know how he plays and what type of manager he is and that, but just looking at his list of clubs and how long he spends at each club doesn't fill you with confidence, doesn't it? He's been to China, he's been to Germany, he's been to Turkey. I think he took a team down in Germany, did he?
Yeah, 1860 Munich, yeah. Yeah,
it took them down. It just doesn't fill me with confidence. I think he's been interviewed twice, He got interviewed before Martinez. And you're going to say that? Sorry, he got interviewed a couple of times, and I don't know why. After getting interviewed twice, we're going back. It doesn't fill you with confidence, does it? Put it that way.
No, I seen this on social media, and I just thought it was a dead funny comment. Put it in our WhatsApp group before, and it was like obviously a conversation that maybe took place in his interview. So Vitor, since we last interviewed you for this job, you've lasted 6 months at Olympiacos, a year at Fenerbahce that saw you take them to court, 5 months at 1860 Munich, when you got relegated to the third tier, 3 years in China, and then 5 months again, incredibly, at Fenerbahce. Will you bring stability to Everton?
Just adds to it. I mean, just when you think like can't get worse than this, surely we're going to do something that's going to change our opinion of the club. It just carries on. He's linked to that. Advisor, isn't he? Yeah, well, I forget. I don't know how to pronounce his second name. Kia.
I can't pronounce his second name. Kia. Everyone should call him Kia, like the car.
He's linked to him, and he's got Mashiri's ear, hasn't he? I think we're going to note it now, but he was in the director's box on Saturday. Sorry, Gary, go on.
We've had a couple of messages regarding him. I'm just going to call him Kia as well, so I can't be bothered trying to pronounce that second name. Nick Morris, who's a regular messenger to the podcast, said, "Does anyone have a brain cell at Everton? Not only was Kia in the director's box on Saturday, he's rumoured to be interviewing with Mashiri. He's just a leech." And the second one on the same topic is just, who the F is Kia, and why does he have any influence at our club?
Yeah, I mean, I can't answer those questions on it. Obviously, we know he's an agent, like Pricey's just said, and that he's close to Mashiri, and apparently he's been brought in as some kind of advisor, which is surely a conflict of interest if you're pushing your client towards the club. Cannavaro is one of the clients who he's pushed. The rumour is that his interview didn't go particularly well. Vitor Pereira, considering the amount of jobs he's had, probably is very used to interview situations, and if he's got back in a club that he took to court previously, he must be very good at interviews. But yeah, again, I don't think we know much more than anyone apart from the fact that he's an agent.
Well, actually, he actually says he's not an agent. When I was reading up on today, he actually says he's not an agent. He's just an advisor to players and to clubs on transfers, which is an agent, isn't it? But that just shows you probably how dodgy it is. The fact that he's saying he's not an agent because, whatever the reason why, because he can't get involved in transfers unless you're an agent, and he's saying he's not. So I don't know. What's worrying for me is we've got no director of football, whether he's been edged out on Kia's say-so or on Kia's advice. We've now got no manager, and Kia's sitting in the director's box with our owner and our the guy who's supposed to make the decisions, and he's got his ear. And the person we're now being touted for 2 days after he's been in our director's box is one of his own clients in whatever shape or form that might look like. That's worrying. That's so worrying. And it's like, as you say, there's conflicts on all type of levels there. And it's worrying that Mashiri is willing to listen to him and willing to go with his advice. And it just gets worse for me. It's just getting worse.
It is, yeah. I mean, this is the type of stuff that obviously the 27 campaign are against. Now, we are going to have a podcast with these this week, so we're going to obviously hear what someone from the 27 campaign, or I think the guy who's led this campaign, has got to say. So we'll be releasing that at some point this week. That I think that's certainly one of the issues that a lot of fans have got at the moment is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of order at the top, and what order there is misplaced. There's people that are making decisions on things that shouldn't be making decisions on things. There's people that are involved in decisions that have got no place at the club and have got no role at the club. It is, like you said, it's a bit of a mess. But again, we'll move on. We'll move on in a moment. Before I do, Pricey, just looking at the market, because that's all we can really, hedge our bets, to coin the phrase. That's all we can really look at the moment. Is there anyone there now that you go, okay, well, if it's out of them, he'd be my pick, and why?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's massive candidates, and this is one of the reasons why I wasn't calling for Benitez Z at the time, because I didn't think there was many candidates out there to come in. But for the ones I've seen, I wouldn't mind. I'd support Frank Lampard, and I don't think he'd done as bad at Chelsea as what it's made out that he done. I think when you look at he was still in the Champions League. He had a transfer ban he brought through youngsters. He done all right at Derby, so I think giving him the chance. But with him, it'd have to be that you'd have to stick with him. He's not going to be a quick fix. He's going to be someone that you have to invest in, and you'd have to stick by and allow him to make decisions and support him, probably with a new director of football. But out of all of them, he's the one that I'll probably get behind the most. What about you? Is there somebody you think would you prefer someone more experienced, or?
Out of the candidates that are in the running, if you like, I just think Niko Kovac is a no-brainer. I really do. I mean, obviously, I'm saying a no-brainer when he hasn't managed in the Premier League, but the jobs that he has had in three, established top leagues, as in like Germany. He's done a very good job in Germany with two different clubs. With Frankfurt, he won a cup. He went to Bayern Munich, won the double. Didn't obviously get Bayern Munich to the heights that they wanted in the Champions League, so he moved to Monaco. Done a very, very good job at Monaco. He's left there, ironically, due to a bit of a conflict with the director of football over transfer policy. But again, they finished third, and when he left Monaco, they were sixth in the league. Again, the style of football that he plays, I think would be something that the Everton fans could get behind. It's traditional. He plays aggressively. He's very well organised from set plays. It's all the things we haven't had over the last few seasons. But look, who am I? I'm just a fan. But you look at that list and you look at every one of the candidates, and they've all got massive blotches on the CVs. Yeah. All right, you're right there. Frank Lampard's not exactly got blotches on the CVs, but I think I don't know. I just question whether his personality is a fit for Everton at this moment in time. Whether he's got enough of a strong enough personality to deal with some of the things that are going on now. I don't know him obviously personally, but just from the way he's been in the public and stuff, and the way he lost the plot at Anfield the other year when there was no fans there. I don't know. I don't know if he could deal with this type of pressure. It's very different, I think, to what he's worked under. But yeah, who knows? We'll keep an eye on it. I mean, that as we're recording now on Monday night, there's more momentum behind the fact that a lot of journalists are now posting that Vitor Pereira will sign a contract with Everton until the end of the season.
But just while we're on the manager talk, we did get another message from a Red. This one question for the Reds. It's from Mick. Which ex-Liverpool legend do we want to go undercover next? I'm thinking to give it a Fowler for 6 months with Rush as his assistant. Finish off the good work Rafa started. I think that's from one of our mates, to be fair.
Yeah, you've got to laugh. I've got to laugh. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. No.
He's throwing Pereira in there for us.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, we'll move on. That was a long section. Apologies to the Reds, but I'm pretty sure you're enjoying it as much as the Blues are enjoying it in a different way. So yeah, we'll now give you a chance to revel in your latest successes, Red. So again, we'll start with very briefly, the 2-0 victory away at the Emirates, which obviously got you into the final at Wembley.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I've moaned quite a bit about how we've been, a bit dismissive about domestic cup competitions under Klopp. So I'm really pleased, that we've managed to get to this final, and we've seen Klopp take the games a little bit more seriously. I think he recognised, that once we cruised through that Champions League group, it sort of opened the door for us to do that, really, didn't it, guys? Playing slightly stronger teams and stuff against Leicester and that. So, I'm absolutely made up, to be honest. Like, it's been too long, since we've been able to
it was
go.
only, if you look at the starting lineup, it was only really Keller in goal, but that he's already been told that's his competition, and Kate Gordon, who started, who's not a regular part of the first team. So, that just shows you that he has sort of gone a different route this time round when we've got to the later stages and being able to put a strong team out and really look like he really wants to go and win it this time. I'm in the same boat as what you're saying there. I'm made up we've done it because it's been too long. Like, I know it seems ridiculous for saying this when you've got what Everton are going through at the minute on the other half of the screen, but it has been too long for us that this team that we've got, the way we got to the European Cup final and lost, then we won the league, we won the European Cup as well. This team needs to win trophies to be held in such high regard as what we know they are. So for me to be getting to these cup finals now, we've got to go and win it though. That's the thing. We need to go and win it. But the fact that we have took it a little bit more seriously and we've got to the final, that's a big step towards it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? Like, we've said it loads of times. Like, I know Man City have got squad depth that no one else has got, and they can put boss sides out in every competition and that, but winning and getting to finals becomes habitual, doesn't it? Like, the more you do it, the more it becomes like, a thing that's
this is what we do.
Yeah. So, and they've recognised that this is a competition that if you take it seriously, you can be in a final in February. Like, it's so early on the season. Well, I think what's probably killed us plenty of times is we seem to always make the Champions League really difficult for ourselves, like in terms of the group games and stuff. So I think that's been the one thing that sort of opened it up for us. And getting to this final, now, as you say, we've got to go on and win it. And Chelsea are a weird side, aren't they? It's one of them. Like, you don't know on it. They could be boss on any day, and there's other games where they look pretty average. So, but I'm just made up with it, and we've got the opportunity to get a trophy under our belt, and what you say, set this side up for a bit of a tilt towards the back end of the season on Champions League, and hopefully staying in the title race.
The other thing is as well, getting goals without Salah and Mane there. That's a big thing. That was a big worry for us because we rely so heavily on mainly Salah, but Mane at times as well. We rely so heavily on them and what they bring. The fact that Jota stepped up there and got us a couple of goals and the rest of the team performed really well as well. It wasn't just, we as I said, then we do rely on them a lot. We weren't playing the same way in a sense. We were bringing a lot more other players into the game, whereas normally it's get it up there and Salah and Mane and the front, whoever the other part of the front three will do the job. So I've really liked that side of it because it could have been a little bit worrying had we struggled to score without them two being there.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. And as you say, Jota in their absence, he has stepped up. Like maybe the weekend wasn't his best game, but certainly against Arsenal, he was brilliant. Like really sort of took the fight to them, and he's proven to be like a very, very astute signing, isn't he? He I don't think anyone sort of at the moment looks at him like he's at their level. A Salah and Mane, but he's got a lot of time on his side, and since he's came in, he hasn't really put a foot wrong, has he? He's scoring goals. He's got that little bit of grit and determination that you want to see. Someone who backs himself and wants to make an impact on the side when he gets up.
Yeah, he's a bit horrible as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like he gives as much as he gets in terms of the stick and the kicking and the arguing and all that. We haven't got many of them players in our team, so it's good to have someone who's like that because you think back to Suarez as. When he's played against us, he's horrible. You need players like that in your team, I think, because they don't have to bring a lot out the crowd as well. I think when you've got a player who's a bit of a narc, they get the crowd up as well, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at the likes of a Firmino or Origi or Minamino, who are like the alternatives, they're not that type of player. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
So yeah, no, really, absolutely made up. Obviously, you've gone in the ballot there today, because we're not all guaranteed a ticket, but hopefully I manage to get one and I'll be going down.
Yeah, I'm absolutely wounded. I can't go. I'm in work on nights that night, and I've already tried to get a shift swap with 3 different people, and no one can cover me.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely
that's your workmates, isn't it?
Oh, it's devastating. If any of them are watching this, if anyone's watching this, get involved. Will you let me go?
Amen. But yeah, so obviously, big win and great. Like set us up really going into the weekend, didn't it?
Yeah, and as you said there, like, you know, Jota may not have had his best game, but even when he doesn't, he still gets in the right places. He still gets, you know, he still pops up with little touches here and there that are very important. So even though he weren't at his best in that game, he was still an important part of the team. And I think, you know, Palace is, although Klopp's had a good record against them, you know you're in for a game when you go there. The fans are really good. You can't doubt their fans whatsoever. They are boss, and they get behind them loads. But I thought the first half an hour of that game, we were as good as we've been all season, if not the best I've seen us play for this season. We were absolutely brilliant, and I just thought it looked like it was potentially going to be 4-5-0 game, and then all of a sudden they just like they thought that's it, game's won now 2-0, and just stopped playing.
It's a worrying sign though, because we've done that plenty of times this season. Look at Brighton. You know, when we played Brighton at home, and we were cruising, and I was like,
2-0 again.
We're gonna blitz these, you know, and for half an hour we were boss, and then all of a sudden we took our foot off the gas at the end of the first half, and then second half you're clinging on, you know, like proper.
Yeah. And to be fair, in that game, if anyone was going to win, it was going to be Brighton, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. And to be fair, you know, if we look on balance of chances and stuff, Palace, they were good value there for at least a point, I thought. You know, like they had plenty of big opportunities, and, you know,
Alisson kept us in at times, didn't he?
Did, yeah. And then obviously some decisions that have gone against them and have gone for us there, which I'm sure we'll get to. But, you know, it is a worrying sign because, you know, City have slipped up there, but they don't seem to do that very often. Do you know what I mean? No. It's like they just steamroll teams, don't they? And it's like we seem to be almost being our own worst enemy. You know, practically like letting teams come back into games that should be dead and buried. You know, like and with no.
When
problem.
we seen them draw, I said while we were out, we'll probably drop points tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just typical of Liverpool. Every time something like that happens, we just don't take advantage.
That's what's mad, though, isn't it? You know, you've just seen your closest rivals who you look like you were pretty much dead and buried, not going to be able to catch them. They've slipped up and dropped points. You've got the opportunity then to go and basically make a statement. And it looked like we were about to, as you say, for that half an hour. We were incredible. The press was absolutely phenomenal. But then it's like, oh yeah, you know, we'll swerve this now. Let's just back off. And it's like, why not go and pressure advantage? You know, really, you know, go and make it a 3 or a 4-0 and let them know we're not giving up the chase.
That's been the difference. That's where the difference in points have come from between us and City this year. I think the graphic we've all seen going around social media and that City have led in 17 games and won 17. Liverpool have led in 17 and won 12, I think.
That's the problem. It's like, you know, it's weird because a couple of seasons ago it was all about, you know, mentality monsters and all that sort of stuff, but it feels like that. There's a little bit of that gone, you know, like there's, I don't know, I'm not quite sure what it is. Can't quite put my finger on what's the cause of that, but it does feel like there's a tendency to sort of go.
It's like a bit of a pattern in it, but it's like, I don't want to say it's complacency, but it comes across as it, because it's like, because we've been so good at the start of the game, and then it's like, we can just take our foot off the gas now, we'll just chill out and see the game out, even from half an hour in.
But then we don't react when the other team starts to get a foothold in the game. We don't sort of go, "Whoa, this isn't getting away from us. Let's pick it back up." We sort of get worse, and then you like that. What's up by the end of the game? Going, no, are we like clinging on here?
Just scrape through there, yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? It's like,
not only we scraped through, but I think we got a little bit of help from the officials. Like,
a little bit. I mean,
start with the second goal. Start with the second goal, because Oxlade-Chamberlain's goal there. I thought, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought the rules are now, if a player who's in an offside position makes an attempt to go for the ball, he's offside.
Yeah, so because
Firmino's offside on them rules.
He tried to play the ball, he's gone off for the head, the defender has to do something. You know, if your defender just does nothing there, you know, and Firmino gets onto it, then you're crucifying your defender if the goal stands or whatever, aren't you? But so the defender has to react. The keeper's got to be aware of him. You know, Firmino's making a move towards the ball and stuff. You're interfering with play. You're part of the play. So it's offside. Like it's
100%. There's no argument, is there? I don't think there's any argument. It was definitely offside. That.
Yeah, it was an absolute shambolic, to be fair. We said it well. I think one of our mates, Jolie, through in the group, he was like, I can't believe that VAR hasn't picked up on that. How like, if you've got all the benefits.
It's like they never even looked at it.
What are you watching?
It's like they were only looking at Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it?
Considering how long they generally take on other decisions, and sometimes it's like 3, 4, 5 minutes. Sometimes looking for
later on in the game, they did
any reason to disallow it. To not see that is outrageous.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
But then they did then make sure you definitely won, didn't they? By giving you a pen, which helps as well. But it's just
Stonewall.
If that didn't help you enough, they just wanted to just make sure. Let's give them one more. Just make sure of this game here.
Yeah, I mean,
it was never a pen.
I don't know whether Gary's being
facetious
or not, like in saying it's a Stonewall, but I mean, for me, it was it's embarrassing. I think I was watching it going, like, how was that even gone for us?
We all said in the group that he was not pulling that back for the penalty, but the longer it went on, it was like, oh, he's got to give this year. Don't get me wrong, not complaining at all, because we've had enough of them given against us. Think back to the one you got, Calvert-Lewin tripping over Trent's head, and was it Ashley Westwood? Was it for Burnley?
Burnley, yeah, they got one, yeah. Which was,
who was it? It wasn't Westwood, was it?
No, it was
the forward. Can't remember his name. He knocked one into the Annie Rose and then tipped over Alisson and got given one. So we've had enough of the same one given against us. So I'll take that all day.
Yeah, and generally it is one of them, isn't it, where it's like swings and roundabouts. Some will go for you, some will go against you. But to have two in the same game like that, and the penalty one was just like, what's the VAR ref really like? What use is he? Because he's basically said to the referee, hasn't he? I've spent 6 minutes looking at it on all kinds of different angles, and I can't make a decision. You go and have a look at it on the side pitch, and you've got about 10 seconds to make a call. So it's not a clear and obvious error, then, is it?
No.
Do you know what I mean? So it's well, I'm not going to complain. Like
I know, yeah, but that we'll take it all day.
Yeah, and Fabinho, he's putting the ball in the onion bag for us, isn't he? And while Salah and Mane, like you were saying, sharing the goals around and stuff, he's bagged a few for us now.
Yeah, and long may that continue. Once Salah and Mane back, we need this to carry on. Oxlade-Chamberlain's got on the score sheet there, took it really well as well. He could easily have rushed that with the keeper rushing out at him and the defender coming in at him as well. And he took his time, waited for the ball to drop and finished it off well. So, yeah, Jota, we know he's got goals in him. So if they can all keep chipping in when Salah and Mane come back, then it looks for a good end to the season.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I do want to sort of say, and I keep banging on about it, but I'm going to keep banging on about it, is someone do something with that line. That high line is suicide for us.
Yeah, it's causing more problems than it's fixing at the minute, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely.
I think if we just, I don't know why we persist with it. When if you start the game and it works, and you've caught them off a few times, that sounds that they're falling for the trap every time. But if you start the game and they're getting in behind you a couple of times, then you need to react to that. That's when you drop. There's been a couple of games. Can't remember what the last one was, but the Palace one, obviously, they did a couple of times. But there was another one not so long ago where we were saying it all game. Why are we persisting with this high line?
But it's mad. It's like we don't look at the opposition and go, actually, do we really want Van Dijk and Mata to be in a foot race with like Eze and Zaha and all that? It's like, probably not, you know what I mean? Because if they beat it if they beat it once or twice, they clean through on goal. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. There was times there yesterday when I'm looking at it and you're seeing the replay, and our entire defense is basically in their half, and you're like, wow. And I've said it in the past, like we talk about Alisson having to come out. There was one at home the other week, and Alisson's nearly at our halfway line, sweeping up. It's like, what's happening here?
Well, he nearly got caught out there, didn't he? But
yeah.
By the tap, and he rushed out and then realised we ain't getting it, and then had to make a bit of a jump and save to not be lobbed. But he did, we've seen the good in Alisson there. We've obviously had a couple of ropey moments in the past few weeks with Alisson, but we've seen the very best of him there. Kept us in it all game, I thought.
He did, yeah. It was a good performance, but as I say, you're making your goalkeeper make them decisions where it's like, do I come or do I not? Like, sort of, because the gap from him to the back line is so big, and there's just acres of space. So I don't know. At some point, we've got to recognise it and just say, look, like, just do something, like drop it. I don't know. And I know Phil always goes like, that's key to our press, though, but it is and it isn't. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't really see. Is there that much value having Van Dijk literally standing next to Fabinho?
I don't mind us doing it. It's just like what I said before, though. If in the first 10 minutes you're getting caught out a couple of times, just react. Just even if you're only reacting for the next 10 or 15 minutes, just to stop them being able to get in behind, just do that and then revert back to it at half time or something. But to carry on the whole game in that way when you are getting caught out, it's just ludicrous.
Yeah, nuts. Anyway,
but looking ahead, everyone, I've seen loads on social media going, if we go the Etihad and win, we're right back in this and all that. We've got about 8 games till we go the Etihad. People are getting ahead of themselves for me there. As we've said there, with the Palace game alone, we could easily have dropped points. You'll think back to the Brighton game where we have dropped points. We need to make sure we just keep winning first. Get to the Etihad within touching distance.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's all we can do, and hopefully, we do. Like we sort of snap out of this lackadaisical way that we've got about us in these types of games, and
could do without this break.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I'm sort of looking at it thinking it's probably a good thing though, isn't it? You can get a few players rested up and that, and then you've got the likes of Mane and Salah probably coming back, and then a few other players that maybe got niggles and knocks that might be able to be back. So maybe it could be a good thing. I know they generally don't help us.
Yeah, I'm just thinking more about when we do go on a bit of a run, it's because we're playing midweek weekends, and when we have a break, it does tend to derail us a little bit, or we take another couple of games to get back up to that level. So I hope I'm wrong. Do you know what I mean? I hope we come back and we can, we've got a bit of a favourable game there. We've got Cardiff when we come back, haven't we? So hopefully that can bed us in nicely and we can hit the ground running again in the league.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's all we've got time for this week. Just before we go, a massive thank you to our long-standing sponsors, Camper Kings UK. Again, as we always say, massive fleet of camper vans that the guys have got over there. If you're in the Liverpool area, they're based in Maghull. If you're not, jump on their website. Loads of deals on as usual. And I think by the end of the week, we'll have a competition running. So if you don't subscribe to our channel already, please do so. We'll be doing monthly competitions. So as long as you're a subscriber to our YouTube channel, you go into a draw to win one of our prizes. So we've got a few things lined up for you over the next few months on that side. Thanks to Air Clothing as well, who kit the lads out. We've got a good sale on at the moment. I think there's some items on there 70% off, so check them out as well. We will have another show out, as I said before, as we do every week, this Thursday, which is Game On. We'll be covering higher or lower, is it, Gary, this week?
Yeah.
True or false, and we'll be looking back in history as well. So there's a bit of trivia and a look back in history for both the blue side and the red side. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and catch you all on Thursday.